Liada loca, ¿eh? ¿Qué ha pasado? Ah, me han dado un miau.
What in the world?
This being Renan territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
The very foundations of the city have shifted. What could have caused this?
When Leneguis changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dana?
Claro.
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live. These are their homes, right?
I would think the citizens themselves didn't have much say in the matter. Either way, locating the Forbidden Zone just became that much trickier.
Dohalim? Is that you?
Avakir, I'm glad to see you're well.
So it is you! But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dana participating in the crown contest? And these people!
So you haven't heard what happened on Dana, then?
Heard what?
Someone you know?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim, don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening, but so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Trust me. The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well. It looks like we'll have to find the way there ourselves.
Have you seen Faria yet?
No.
Uf.
I see.
Se viene desarrollo del personaje, ¿eh?
If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Why did you come back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself. Okay, Do?
So who's Faria?
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, it would seem the people of Leneguis are being kept in the dark about what's happening down on Dana.
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their own world. Despite the fact that it's actually here that the wedge originally came from.
We need more information. Let's talk to the citizens, see what we can find out.
While we're at it, we can ask them about the Red Woman, too.
And don't forget about finding the way to the Forbidden Zone either.
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We
Yo
can't have a
no me
bunch
acuerdo
of
por qué
Danans
tenemos que llegar al
poking
sector
their
prohibido. Es
noses
que
around.
estaba sobado y creo que
Good
me quedo
idea.
dormido.
I think that's for the best.
I shall assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Leneguis has its advantages.
Right. Then we'll leave it to you two.
Bueno, a ver. Esto...
The Danans among us should probably keep our heads down.
What if people...
Vamos a ver. Una ciudad divertida.
What could be so important? It's worth destroying people's livelihoods and homes in the process. It's just... unbelievable. Uprooting an entire city as if it were mere building blocks. Someone's got an awful lot of questions to answer.
From how it looks. They must be siphoning off astral energy from Dana, and then sending it to Rena.
But why do all this? What for? Surely they can't be using all that energy for the crown contest.
Whatever their purpose, disrupting their siphoning process alone won't be sufficient. Not while we still don't know what their endgame is.
He's right. We need to stop this from happening ever again.
This Forbidden Zone might be where we find some answers, right? So what are we waiting for? Let's get moving!
You heard him. We don't have time to stop and chat. Let's move.
Qué buena gente esto, venga, el receptáculo, a ver.
So, I've been wondering, do you think when Leneguis was built, it was even made with people living here in mind?
What do you mean?
Well, none of this happened by coincidence, right? They must have designed it to transform like this. But then, if they knew people were going to live here, you'd think they would have taken that into consideration, to avoid all this chaos.
Ordinarily, yes. You'd think so. Trust me, as far as we were concerned, Leneguis was our home, nothing more. No one knew about all this. It makes you wonder whether the city was just built on as an afterthought. But if so, to what exactly?
Sorry. That probably sounded weird, huh?
Not at all. Sometimes it takes an outsider's eye to help you notice what you've been missing all along. This place is a mystery, that's for sure. Something tells me we'll find answers where we're going, though.
Yeah, you're right, Xion. I'm sure we will.
Vale, nada más. Bueno, pues... Bueno, voy a apagar la Nintendo de todas maneras. A ver qué dicen estos.
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just look at the state of our city. Even the Zeugles have stopped heeding our commands. Whatever did we do to deserve this?
You really have no clue what might have caused this?
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, no prior decree. His Highness must have deemed it unnecessary. We have no choice but to grin and bear it. But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Ilkaris? I believed he was on Dana.
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special...
As your lordship wished, the Ilkaris house has produced a great many lords over the centuries.
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Vale.
Everything will be okay now.
I know the basics of healing arts, but my skills pale in comparison.
Your lordship! Oh, what a great honor it is. I descended to Dana during the last crown contest also. Alas, when the contender I was backing failed to clinch the title, I returned. I witnessed the deaths of so many slaves.
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in red.
All red, eh? No, I can't say I remember anyone like that. I imagine she'd stand out somewhat, too.
Yeah. What about down on Dana during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around the lord you were serving?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise. Why do you want to find her anyway?
Never mind. Forget I asked. Sorry to take up your time.
Pero ¿cómo pueden diferenciar? Son físicamente muy parecidos de todas maneras.
Is everything okay? You look a little lost.
Hmm? Oh, yes. I can't seem to find my way home is all. I was just about to make my umpteenth attempt at a new route.
I was hoping to head this way myself. The situation is a real pain, huh?
I suppose the Sovereign knows best. I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only linger around these parts for so long before I outstay my welcome. I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after all.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkar?
Yes.
But of course, I thought
It's worth investigating.
Pode,
please.
abafar o lugar. Isso aí já achava.
I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and let you know.
You'd really do that for me?
Our lot in life is...
Oh, why, yeah.
Well, we can't...
No one...
You... Not to this extent.
Given every...
Yeah, everything... Nothing...
The Sovereigns? There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just...
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dana? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Leneguis alone would be difficult enough.
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself is. Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Leneguis has ever been there?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Leneguis has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back...
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Leneguis single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Leneguis from so far away? What if something were to happen to the city, like...
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? Just before the ceremony. But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler. So which one is it?
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of Rena and Leneguis. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign. Though, it would appear that the current ruler has gone silent. As for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Leneguis. No, not just became, I was forced to. Me, a Danon. 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown contest.
Do you think Volron was made sovereign for the same reason? Because of that ceremony?
I can't say for sure, but it certainly sounds like it.
But that would mean that 2 Sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the... We never did see Volron's body back in Ganath Haros. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strange activity?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are... The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma. The same one that the Red Woman stole.
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside from me...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off-limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dana, too.
Then it's decided. That's where we...
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead... Let's go find it!
Ya he perdido. Joder, hermano.
With nobody left to run the show, I wonder what the people here are supposed to do. I mean, there's sovereigns up on the Renan homeworld, and all their lords were sent to Dana.
But Dohalim was a lord.
Only current acting lords have power. Renan society is quite strict about such matters.
Even if the other lords were still around, I doubt they'd be able to do much about the situation.
I wonder what they'd think if they were here to see Leneguis now. Balsif, Ganabelt, Almadria, and Volron. Now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know next to nothing about the other lords.
Well, yeah, why to us Danans, they were just enemies we needed to overthrow. Nothing more.
I know.
It feels strange to imagine the lords living here too.
Yeah.
If you're that curious about them, why not try inquiring with some... Every lord in their household has their share of supporters here on Leneguis. And luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dana, which means they should be more inclined to talk to us.
Vale. No sé, es que me parece súper surrealista esto, ¿eh? Muy hambre, loco.
I didn't realize Renans oppressed their own kind, too.
And yet, weirdly, none of them seem to mind. Am I the only one who finds that strange?
It is the way things have always been, so no one...
Unquestioning acceptance of your own servitude. Yeah, that's some...
Even so, the quality of life here seems much higher than any Danan city we visited. I used to think it was impossible to build an ideal...
More to the point, not a single citizen seems to have even...
What if she's not here?
It's still...
For all we know,
Tell me, Dohalim, has that skill of yours got a name?
And what skill would...
You know, when you're talking to people around town. The way they suddenly become...
I'm afraid I don't quite...
I do. It's called friendly intimidation. Look imposing and speak in a deep, booming voice, and presto, you'll have people wrapped around your finger in no time.
I would never stoop to such scandalous tricks. Any feelings of intimidation are solely in the eye of the beholder.
So there is a knack to it! How do you learn it? Can anyone do it?
Now you've got me curious.
Let's see.
If you've a bone to pick with me, it'd be quicker to just come out and say it.
What? They look up to you, that's all. I'm just helping them.
Hey! What's got into Alvin and Lal?
I can barely understand a word they're saying.
I hope you're willing to take the blame for this one.
I wasn't expect...
Bah, ahora vengo. Me estoy agobiando. Qué asco. Lo que es la pajita. ¿Esta pajita es de cartón? No. Es de... No, ni idea de qué es. Un segundo, que hay.
Yes.
Vaya.
Balsef had it in him to care about someone other than himself? Really?
It's possible. A change in position can do much to alter one's perspective.
So even he...
Joder con la bomba. Pesadilla.
I guess she intended to spread it throughout all of Leneguis then.
Good thing the lines were down so she couldn't.
It almost sounded like she was praising them too.
Maybe there was more to the guy than at first glance.
I shall refrain from commenting.
What?
Vaya.
Ganabelt was so horrible to people. Yet he was invested in helping Rena succeed. Doesn't that seem just a little inconsistent?
I'm perhaps biased in this matter, I admit. However,
Eso,
my
vamos
mind,
aquí.
while all lords vie to become the next sovereign, they're also meant to serve as guardians of all of Rena.
It seems like Ganabelt also had people he cared about until the very end.
So why couldn't he extend that to us Danans?
Hombre, sospechoso, hay súper poca cosa, ¿no? Miguel fallecido. Ese es el hermano de Trizada, ¿no? No se me olvidan los nombres, son súper fácil.
This area doesn't look as badly damaged.
Faltan dos señores.
Pardon me.
Sí, sí.
I guess her willingness to stoop to any low came from a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here... not only shared her belief, but championed it as morally right too.
That doesn't make it true. Too bad they couldn't see through her.
Hombre, a ver, tu casa, yo te digo dónde está. En Cuenca. El farmeo ha ido mejorando. Vale, falta el Lord Borham. Yo creo que no.
Ridiculous.
Okay.
Tú, Gade.
It seems like the
sea,
people
me ha
on
dicho,
Leneguis don't
es que-
really know much about Volron either.
I remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Gannett Harros changed so abruptly.
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary. Remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
Ah, ya está, ¿no? O sea,
When you think about
Yeah,
They must...
Ren, but they're
That's what
right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you, because we're
Ganabel, pero Ganabel.
threats to Rena.
guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything?
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the lords were all people, too. Balsif and the others.
El único que valía la pena.
They all had their own circumstances to deal.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I know. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. So I guess...
you're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Renwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Danon doesn't make you a good person. I think that's...
And I'm going...
Es que estos son mierdas, pero bueno. Está raro, tío, no haber encontrado todavía ni un solo punto raro así de... Me encantaría hablar de esto, pero... Joder.
There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right? In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
Hanfried Milgras, the former lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfried whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
Yo creo que lo matan.
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Leneguis?
I guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Leneguis from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck...
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is...
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest. In other words, if that's true,